A leaked photograph. A quiet moment. A man who spent years protecting his privacy suddenly finds the most intimate details of his marriage splashed across tabloid headlines. Baris Arduc, one of Turkey's most beloved actors, is watching his private life unravel in real time. And what the public doesn't know yet is that this leak might be just the beginning of something much bigger. Because behind the perfect image of his marriage to Gupse Ozay, there are cracks no one saw coming. This isn't just another celebrity scandal. This is about what happens when the person you trust most becomes the subject of whispers you can't control. When every smile you've shared, every vacation photo, every moment of normalcy gets re-examined under a microscope. Baris Arduc built his career on being the romantic lead, the dependable hero, the man every woman wanted and every man respected. But now, as private messages surface and old friendships are questioned, the real story emerging is far more complicated than anyone imagined. And the woman standing beside him through all of this, his wife Gupse, is facing a choice that could change everything. Let's go back to where this started. Baris Arduc wasn't always a household name. He fought for years in small roles, theater productions, supporting characters that barely got noticed. Then came Karalık Aşk, the series that turned him into a phenomenon. Suddenly, he was everywhere. Magazine covers. Billboards. The kind of fame that doesn't just change your career, it changes your entire existence. Women screamed his name in the streets. Fans tracked his every movement. And with that level of attention came an unspoken rule in Turkish entertainment: protect your privacy at all costs. He did exactly that. Baris rarely gave interviews about his personal life. He kept his relationships quiet. He didn't flaunt wealth or controversy. He was, by all accounts, the good guy. And then he met Gupse Ozay. She wasn't just another actress. She was a writer, a comedian, someone with her own voice and her own career. They worked together, became friends, and eventually, the rumor mill started spinning. But they didn't confirm anything. Not for years. They let people speculate, wonder, analyze every shared glance and social media interaction. It became a game, almost. The public wanted confirmation, and they refused to give it. When they finally went public, it felt like a victory for fans who had been shipping them all along. They were the perfect couple. Talented. Beautiful. Grounded. They got married in a private ceremony in 2020, and even then, they kept the details minimal. No exclusive magazine spreads. No televised special. Just a simple celebration with close family and friends. It seemed like they had cracked the code. They could be famous and still maintain boundaries. They could be loved without being consumed. But fame doesn't work that way. Not really. Because the more private you are, the more valuable that privacy becomes. And there are always people willing to pay for secrets. 3 weeks ago, a photo appeared online. It wasn't scandalous in the traditional sense. No affair. No inappropriate behavior. Just Baris in a private setting with people who weren't his wife. The photo itself was blurry, taken from a distance, clearly shot without permission. But it was the context that set social media on fire. Because the woman standing closest to him in that photo was someone from his past. Someone he had reportedly dated years before Gupse. And suddenly, people started asking questions. Who leaked the photo? Why now? Was this proof of something, or just an innocent moment being twisted into a narrative? The speculation exploded. Twitter threads dissecting every pixel. Instagram accounts dedicated to comparing timelines. Fans divided into camps. Some defended Baris, calling the leak an invasion of privacy. Others claimed that if there was nothing to hide, why the secrecy? And through all of it, Baris and Gupse stayed silent. No statements. No explanations. Just silence. That silence, intended to protect them, became its own kind of fuel. Because when celebrities don't respond, people fill in the blanks themselves. And the blanks were being filled with increasingly wild theories. Some claimed the leak was intentional, a publicity stunt for an upcoming project. Others believed it was revenge, someone from Baris's past trying to sabotage his marriage. A few even suggested that Gupse herself had orchestrated it, testing public loyalty before announcing a separation. None of these theories had evidence. But in the world of celebrity gossip, evidence is optional. Then, something unexpected happened. A second leak. This time, it wasn't a photo. It was a series of text messages. Private conversations between Baris and an unnamed contact. The messages themselves were mundane. Plans to meet for coffee. Discussion about a script. Complaints about work stress. Nothing romantic. Nothing incriminating. But the fact that they existed, that someone had access to his private communications and chose to release them, changed the conversation entirely. Because this wasn't about what Baris had done. It was about who was targeting him. And why. Gupse broke her silence 5 days after the second leak. Not with a statement to the press. Not with a dramatic social media post. But with a single photograph on Instagram. It was a picture of her hand, wearing her wedding ring, holding a cup of coffee. The caption was one word, severe. Patience. That's all she gave. But it was enough to send the internet into overdrive. Was she telling fans to be patient while she worked through this privately? Was she telling Baris to be patient with the invasion? Or was she telling herself to be patient before making a decision that would change everything? The people closest to the couple started speaking, off the record of course. Anonymous sources told Turkish tabloids that the marriage had been strained for months. That the leaks were just exposing what insiders already knew. Other sources claimed the opposite, that Baris and Gupse were stronger than ever, and these attacks were coming from someone jealous of their happiness. Publicists declined to comment. Managers redirected questions. And the couple themselves remained invisible, avoiding public events, canceling appearances, retreating into a fortress of privacy that was simultaneously protecting them and making them look guilty. What complicates this even further is the nature of Turkish celebrity culture. In Turkey, public figures are expected to maintain a certain image. Family values. Loyalty. Respectability. A scandal like this, even if it's based on nothing more than invasive leaks, can destroy careers. Endorsement deals vanish. Projects get cancelled. Public affection turns to judgment overnight. Baris had built a brand on being trustworthy, the romantic hero who would never betray the woman he loved. If that image shattered, even unfairly, the consequences would be devastating. But here's what makes this story different. Gupse isn't just a wife standing by her man. She's a creator, a public figure in her own right, with her own fan base and her own reputation. If she walks away, she won't be seen as a victim. She'll be seen as strong, independent, refusing to tolerate disrespect. If she stays, some will admire her loyalty. Others will question her judgment. There's no easy path here. No decision that doesn't come with a cost. Meanwhile, investigators, both amateur and professional, started digging into the source of the leaks. Who had access to Baris's private photos? Who could have obtained his text messages? The most obvious answer was someone close to him. A friend. A colleague. Maybe even someone in his own household. The idea that betrayal could come from within his inner circle added a layer of paranoia to an already tense situation. Trust, once broken in that way, doesn't come back easily. There were whispers about a former assistant, someone who had worked with Baris years ago and left under unclear circumstances. Others pointed to a co-star from a past project, someone who had publicly praised him but privately harbored resentment. A few conspiracy theorists suggested rival actors or managers trying to take him down. But without proof, these were just names being thrown around, reputations damaged by association with a scandal they might have had nothing to do with. Then came the revelation that shifted everything. A tech expert analyzing the leaked messages noticed something. Metadata inconsistencies. The timestamps didn't match up with known events. Some of the messages appeared to have been altered or taken out of context or possibly even fabricated. This didn't prove Baris's innocence, but it did prove something just as important. Someone was actively trying to destroy him. This wasn't just a leak. It was a campaign. The question became, why? What had Baris done, or what did someone believe he had done, to deserve this level of targeted harassment? Was this about jealousy? Revenge? Money? Or was he simply collateral damage in a larger battle between rival factions in the entertainment industry? The more people looked, the more complicated it became. And through it all, Baris and Gupse remained silent, letting the storm rage around them. Public opinion started to shift. The initial shock and judgment gave way to sympathy. People began to see them not as celebrities caught in scandal, but as victims of a malicious attack. Fan pages organized campaigns of support. Hashtags defending the couple trended. Fellow actors, some who had stayed silent initially, started speaking out about the invasion of privacy, the cruelty of online mobs, the dangerous precedent this set. But the damage was done. Even if every leak was proven false, even if the person responsible was caught and punished, the intimacy that Baris and Gupse had fought so hard to protect was gone. Their private conversations were public. Their trust had been violated. The sanctuary of their marriage had been invaded. And that kind of wound doesn't heal just because the truth comes out. Gupse gave her first interview 2 weeks after her Instagram post. She didn't address the leaks directly. Instead, she talked about resilience. About the difference between public perception and private truth. About the strength it takes to ignore noise and focus on what matters. She spoke carefully, every word chosen with precision. But there was something in her voice, a sadness that no amount of media training could hide. She was hurting. And she was trying desperately not to let the world see just how much. Baris, for his part, released a written statement through his lawyer. It was brief. He acknowledged the leaks, condemned the invasion of privacy, and thanked fans for their support. He didn't deny anything specific because there was nothing specific to deny. He didn't name suspects or make accusations. He simply asked for space, for his marriage to be respected, for the people he loved to be left alone. It was dignified. It was measured. And for many, it was exactly what they needed to hear. But the question remains, can their marriage survive this? Not because of anything Baris did or didn't do, but because of what this experience has exposed. The vulnerability of their privacy. The reality that no matter how careful they are, someone can always find a way in. The exhaustion of constantly defending yourself against accusations that have no basis. The loneliness of knowing that the person leaking your life could be someone you once trusted. There are reports, unconfirmed but persistent, that they've left Istanbul temporarily. That they're staying somewhere remote, away from cameras and gossip and the suffocating weight of public scrutiny. If that's true, it might be the smartest thing they could do. Sometimes the only way to save something precious is to remove it from the environment trying to destroy it. What we're witnessing isn't just a celebrity scandal. It's a cautionary tale about the cost of fame, the fragility of privacy, and the cruelty of a culture that consumes people for entertainment. Baris Arduc and Gupse Ozay are real people dealing with real pain. And while the leaks might fade from headlines, the impact on their marriage, their trust, and their sense of safety will last much longer. The truth is, we may never know the full story. We may never find out who is behind the leaks or why they did it. We may never get confirmation about whether this brought Baris and Gupse closer or pushed them to a breaking point. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe some things deserve to stay private, even when the world demands answers. What we can see is this: two people who chose each other, who built something beautiful in an industry that makes that almost impossible, are fighting to protect what they have. Whether they succeed or not isn't for us to decide. It's for them. And perhaps the most respectful thing we can do is stop treating their pain like entertainment and start recognizing it for what it is. A reminder that behind every headline is a human being just trying to survive. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.